I got my eyes over on this screen. I know momentarily I'll be able to see people if you're in Zoom, if you're watching online and would like to join us here in the sanctuary remotely, go to the Zoom link for our service, which you can find on the temple's calendar on our website. And come in and join us so that you can participate in the discussion that we have about the morning's Torah portion. So anybody watching online, open up a prayer book, which you'll find on our website also. Mishkan Tefillah, you'll find it under virtual resources. And we're going to begin with Matovu on page 172. I'm using the second morning service this week, page 172. Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Vani berov chastecha, avo vetecha, eshtacha ve'el hechal kodshecha, ve'yiratecha, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Adonai ahavti me'on beitecha, umekom mishkan kvodecha, mishkan kvodecha, vani eshtachave ve'echra, evrecha lifnei Adonai, Osi, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Vani tefilati lecha, Adonai et ratzon, Elohim berov chastecha, Elohim berov chastecha, Haneni be'emet yishecha, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Matovu, Matovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom. I'm wishing Shabbat Shalom to folks here in the sanctuary and Shabbat Shalom to all of you watching online. Hope that you'll join us in Zoom for our worship service. We are going to pick up in the prayer book on page 174. And I would like to invite those of you who are here in the room to read a passage of the service in English go around the room. I think that people who are in Zoom will be able to hear you. If you're watching the live stream, you're not going to hear the people reading in the room, but if you're watching it Zoom, you could hear the people reading in the room. Another reason to join us in Zoom. Page 174, I'll go up and down the rows. If you prefer not to read, just wave to the next person in the row, okay? Susie, in English, please.
The soul that you have given me, O God, is pure. You created and formed it, breathed it into me, and within me you sustain it. So long as I have breath, therefore, I will give thanks to you, my God and the God of all ages, source of all being, loving guide of every human spirit.
Baruch atah Adonai, asher biyado nefesh kol chai, v'ruach kol b'sar ish.
You see that the next page begins the series of morning blessings. What's called here in this prayer, everyday miracles. And I'd like to sing with you my own setting for this set of prayers in English, which is in the songbook on page 26. Let me feel the sunlight at the dawning of the day. Let me see the road ahead and guide me on my way. Free me from my yesterdays and hold me from above. Lift me when I'm fallen and revive me with your love. Carry me across the waves and set me on the shore. Show me I'll not walk alone. Cover me in comfort when I tremble to the core. Strengthen me in moments when I'm weary and I'm worn. Open up my eyes to all the wonders of the morn. Help me know both who I am and who I'm meant to be. Teach me to be ever more aware that I am free. Lead me on this journey that began so long ago. Guard me and I'll know no fear. Crown me with the morning and enfold me in its glow. Let me feel the sunlight at the dawning of the day. Let me see the road ahead and guide me on my way. Page 178. And whenever we hit the Hebrew, we read together. So at the bottom of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Continuing on the next page, 179 in English. Martin, would you like to read?
Adonai, our God, make the words of your Torah sweet to us and to the house of Israel, your people, that we and our children may be lovers of your name and students of your Torah. We praise you, O God, teacher of the Torah to our people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Torah.
O Yisrael.
Page 185. Ashrei Ashrei introduces Psalm 145 and is chanted antiphonally, which is a fancy word for saying back and forth. I sing a pair of lines and then you sing. Ashrei Yosvei Tevel, Odi Hallelujah Selah. Ashrei Ha'am Shekatalo, Ashrei Ha'am Shekatalo, Tihal Zavi, Harovim Chad Elohai HaMelech, V'avarcha Shifat L'olam Va'ed, Milcho Kol yom avarecha, v'halam shemcha l'olam va'ed, gadol Adonai u'kulam me'od, v'lidulato in cheker, dor l'dor mishabach ma'asecha, u'gvurotecha yagidu, hadar kototecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha, ve'esu noratecha yomeru, u'dulatecha asafrena, Zecharav tu chayaviu, tzikacha yiraniu, Hanun merachum Adonai, Erev chapayim udol chased, Tov Adonai lakol, v'rachamav kol ma'asav, Yoducha
Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha, kavod malchutcha yomeru, gvuratcha yedaberu, lehodia livnei ha'adam gvurotav, uchvod hadar malchuto, malchutcha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador. Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zokef lechol hakfufim, enechol elecha yisaberu, v'ata noten lahem et ochlam b'ito, poteach et yadecha, umaspia lechol chai ratzon, tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav, v'chasid b'chol ma'asav. Karov Adonai lechol korav, lechol asher yikra'uhu ve'emet, ritzon yire'av ya'aseh, ve'et shavatam yishma v'yoshiyim. Shomer Adonai et kol ohavav, ve'et kol harisha'im yashmid, tilat Adonai yidaber pi, v'varech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'ed, v'anachnu levarech ya, me'ata v'ad olam. Hallelujah. Page 190. And let's read at the bottom of the page. Andy, would you like to continue?
Even if our mouths were full of song as the sea, and our tongues full of joy in countless waves, and our lips full of praise as wide as the sky's expanse, and were our eyes to give off light like the sun and moon, if our hands were spread out like heaven's eagles, and our feet swift like young deer, we could never thank you adequately, Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors, or bless your name for 1,000 of the many thousands or tens of thousands. The countless times that you granted good things to our ancestors and to us.
That's all I'm asking. Okay, let's take a brief pause here.
They didn't have scientific notation.
Right. They did not. They didn't have the logarithm. Yeah. Skylar, is it possible to make the view a gallery view so that I can see anybody who has their camera on?
There are two people online and both have their camera on. I can make it gallery view.
I'd love to go see them, although the angle's a little tough for me here, but I still would be able to see if there are people.
Come on, Peter. There we go.
I see there are people on there, still not in the gallery, still in the.
Oh, hang on, sorry.
They're down at the bottom.
There is a bunch of people. So, pardon me, I'm gonna step out in front of the lectern for a moment so I can look at you. Hold.
Is that weird?
That is completely weird.
Is that, I just went from over there
So extreme.
to over here. Yeah. And all the people here are like split up into their own little screen
Yes.
here. Okay, so hi Heather and
Hi Heather, hi
yeah.
Peter.
I'm looking for one other visible person to make our minion. I need another couple of people here for our minion. So we're gonna
Joining.
yeah. So we're gonna wait till we get a few more visible people to actually make the minion. I hope that I need to be able to see that you're actually with us in the room. So we'll see if that happens. Okay.
We're going to continue in service on page 195. Page 195.
And let's read together in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit. Ma'arabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechokma asita, mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifarucha sela. Or chadash al Zion ta'ir, v'nizkechu lanu mehira le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai, yotzer ha'me'orot. Page 198. Ahava Rabbah, Ahava Rabbah, Ahava Rabbah, Ahavtanu, Ahava Rabbah, Ahava Rabbah. Adonai Eloheinu, how deeply you have loved us, how deeply you have loved us, how deeply you have loved us, Adonai Eloheinu. Ahava Rabbah. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam B'shiftecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'aderech, uvshokbecha uvekumecha, ukshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'einecha, uvtaftaha al susot beitecha, uvisharecha, le'mahan tizkeru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, V'tem kedoshim Elohechem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, le'yom lachem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page page 203. Joy, would you read at the bottom of the page, please?
Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles, the years perfected in the church. A gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content. Her soldiers home, leave no war. The song of the world
Redeemed, the song of peace.
Page 204. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Norah tehilo. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Moses and the children crossed the sea. They sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh. Norah tehilo. Osef eleh. Let's see if I can do this. Page 204, the last paragraph in Hebrew. There we go. Tzur Yisrael, Kuma Kuma, Tzur Yisrael, Bezrat Yisrael, Tzur Yisrael, Kuma Kuma, Tzur Yisrael, Bezrat Yisrael, Ufedechinu Mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael, Go Aleinu Adonai Tziva'ot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Okay, so the idea here is Tzur Yisrael means Rock of Israel. Kuma means arise. So the word Kuma, you get up. But this song's got a little bit of a rhythm to it, so you get to bounce a little bit with it. There we go. Tzur Yisrael, Kuma, Kuma, Tzur. You don't have to sit back down. Tzur Yisrael, Kuma, Kuma, Tzur Yisrael, Bezrat Yisrael, Ufedechinu Mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael, Go Aleinu Adonai Tziva'ot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael, Tzur Yisrael, Kuma, Kuma, Tzur Yisrael, Kuma, Kuma, Tzur Yisrael, Kuma, Kuma. Let's just see here.
I'm going to take a little look and look for some of our screens. I'm looking for one more visible screen there. One more of you who's going to show your face and join us in the minion in this room.
Do you
So we
need
can
to
get
see
our
Peter's
minion. There's
face?
Liz. Yeah, you got it. Hi, Liz. Okay.
And Sharon is going to
The
join
quorum has arrived. We're on page 205.
Anna, na, 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 Adonai. Anna, na, 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 Satarita. Anna, na, 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 Ufiaki. Ufiaki tehilatecha.
Anananananana Adonai. Ananananana Svatai Tivta. Ananananana Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Lemad Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Hoser U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Vezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor L'Olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emana Talachayot HaKol. Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye HaKol. Please remain standing. We're going to do Kedusha on page 208 with this melody that I introduced with our choir this year at High Holy Days. Kadesh et Shimcha, Shimcha ba'olam, Shema Kishimoto, Shmei Maro. Katuv al yad niviecha, V'kara ze'el ze ve'amar, Katuv al yad niviecha. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot. Kadosh, 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 Elohol ha'aretz kevodo. Adir, Adireinu, Adonai, Adonai, Mahatir Shimcha, Bechol ha'aretz, Bechol ha'aretz, Kivod Adonai, Adonai Mimkomo, Kivod Adonai Mimkomo. Here comes the chorus. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot. Kadosh, 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 Elohol ha'aretz kivodo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu Yashmienu, Berachamav, Leinei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Leinei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Imloch Adonai, Adonai.
and 12. Let's take turns reading paragraphs here, okay, in the English. And Beth, we're up to you.
On this Shabbat day, as you graciously receive our prayers, help us to hear your call. Grant us enough health to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others.
Do you want to read? Jonah, do you want to read? We're in the middle of that day.
Teach us humility, that we may perceive our own faults, and grant us the wisdom to be forgiven of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves, and the charity to see the best in those around us.
Give us patience enough not to become discouraged, hope enough to overcome all fears for the future, and faith enough to know your presence. O source of blessing, look with favor upon us. May our offerings be acceptable to you.
We praise you, Adonai, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otah levadcha b'yirah. And on page 214, we're going to continue taking turns reading paragraphs going around the room. Susie?
At the bottom,
Yeah.
for the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations.
Modim Na'ulah. Janet, over to you.
For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons.
Modim Na'ulah.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
Modim Na'ulah.
For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression.
Modim Na'ulah.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared.
Modim Na'ulah.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom.
Modim Na'ulah.
For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose.
Modim Na'ulah.
We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds.
Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shemcha u'lechad lehodot. Father, page 216. O God, may we never become complacent, faltering in our effort to build a world of peace. Let the nations know and understand that justice and right are better than dominion and conquest. May all come to see that it is not by might nor by power, but by your Spirit that life prevails. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Let's pray silently. Yehiyu leratzon imre fi v'hegyon lipi lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'goali Adonai tzuri v'goali. We come now to the congregational participation part where you get a part even though you weren't planning on it. I'm hoping you will volunteer for a piece of the Torah service. So I'm going to ask for two people to come forward, open the ark, and for one of them to carry the Torah out to us and bring the Torah back up, and for the other to uncover the Torah. So that's two people, one to carry and the other to do the uncovering, and the crowns go over here on this table, and the cover goes over the back of a chair. Who wants to be our Torah carrier? who's going to carry the Torah, have a little bit of strength. You're on, Joy. And who wants to uncover the Torah? And Martin, thank you very much. We're using the Torah on the left. I think it's the blue one. The blue Torah on the left. So that's that. Susie's going to do the Aliyah. And then after the Torah reading, we need somebody who will lift the Torah and somebody who can dress the Torah. So Torah lifters, you'll dress the Torah. And who's going to lift the Torah? Anybody else need somebody with some little bit of strength here? You're back on. Yeah, all right, great. Okay, thank you for volunteering. There we go. So while we're taking the Torah out, we're going to sing as the Torah comes out and goes around the sanctuary. You're going to take it out, bring it around, bring it right back up here, uncover it, put it down on the table. And we're singing Al Shlosha Devarim, which is on page 249. Please rise. Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al HaTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim, Al HaTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim. You may be seated. Thank you very much. I know it's all confusing. Like, what comes off? Where does it go? Thank you. I invite you to pick up a copy of the Torah commentary to follow along with the Torah reading. And those of you watching online, go to our website under virtual resources. You'll see a link to this morning's Torah and Haftorah reading. So I want to find my place first here. We are in Parshat Toldot, and if you're looking in the Plout commentary here in the sanctuary, it's on page 179. Use this microphone here. There we go. Page 179. Now, we're in the story of Jacob and Esau, famous story of the twins, the rivalry between the twins, and where we enter into the story, the little backdrop, Isaac is quite old and can't see anymore. And he's asked for Esau to go out and hunt him some game, some wild animal, so that he can have a decent meal and give Esau his blessing. And Isaac's wife, Rebekah, overhears this and decides that really Jacob should get the blessing and dresses up Jacob in the wool of an animal so that he'll feel hairy like his brother Esau, and sends him in with some food to his father. And that's where we pick up the story with Jacob going in to see his father. So Susie Mosca is going to do the Aliyah. Janet, you're going to come up and Gabai for me, please. Thank you very much. Oh, let me find the place first so I can show you where we are. Nope, that's not it. Must be over here. And I'll put this underneath here. Yes, it is on this page. Second. There it is. Pardon me, Janet. Tamo Shoshana bat Avraham v'Sarah. And hold on.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamavarach leolam vahed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu b'kol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. I forgot to explain, I'm pinch hitting here. After my weekly message yesterday about how much I love chanting, I'm not chanting, I'm going to translate while I read because our designated Torah reader for this morning got the booster yesterday and is like in recovery mode today. So it happens, we're glad. Booster's a good thing, but so I'm pinch hitting here. So I'm going to read and translate. Amen. Vayavo el Aviv, vayomer Avi. So he, meaning Jacob, came to his father and said, Father, vayomer hineni, mi ata bani? And he answered, Yes. Which of my sons are you? Vayomer Yaakov el Aviv, Anochi Esav bechorcha. And Jacob answered his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. Asiti ka'asher dibarta Eli. I have done what you asked me. Kumna shava v'ochla mitzedi ba'avur tivarcheni. Come, have a seat, and eat from the game. Eat from my game so that you may bless me. Ba'avur tivarcheni nafshecha, so that you may give me your innermost blessing. Vayomer Yitzchak el beno, Ma'azeh miharta limtso b'ni. So Isaac said to his son, How is it that you were so fast in finding it, my son? Meaning the animal. Vayomer ki hikra Adonai Elohecha lefanai. And he answered, Because the eternal your God helped me. Vayomer Yitzchak el Yaakov. So Isaac said to Jacob, Gishana va'amushcha b'ni. Come close, so that I may feel you, my son. Ha'ata zebni Esav imlo. Whether you are my son Esau or not. Vayigash Yaakov el Yitzchak aviv, vayimushehu. So Jacob came close to his father Isaac, and he felt him. Vayomer hakol kol Yaakov, v'hayadayim yedei Esav. And he said, the voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau. V'lo hikiru, ki hayu yadav kidei Esav achiv seirot vayivarchehu. And he couldn't tell because his hands were like the hands of his hairy brother Esau. And so he blessed him.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei haolam nata b'techenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Yishar kochei. Thank you. Okay, so I got it, didn't I? Yeah. Good.
Joyce.
Yeah. There's a couple of tricky words in there. Yimush. And he hugged him, He gave him a nice squeeze. Vayimushehu, that's it. Okay,
So, Joy, come on up, and who said they're dressing the, Beth, thank you. And then, actually, we're going to keep it out because I'm going to do Haftarah before we put it back in the ark. And then after Haftarah, we'll come back and discuss the Torah reading. So after you've held it, after you pick it up, bend your knees a little bit, turn around, and then bring it back down and place it on the table here. And we'll, let's see, what am I singing here? We'll tie it, and Beth, you'll tie it up and then pick it up so that she can dress it.
Okay.
And then I need somebody to hold it. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Ready, and 1 second, go. Zota Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. You may be seated. Okay, so you'll be able to follow along with the Haftarah, which is in the Plout commentary on page 191. Those of you watching online, again, the Haftarah continues on the same document under virtual resources. You'll see Torah and Haftarah for this week. Same document, just a little further down. And here I'm going to actually chant the whole Haftarah. This is the Haftarah from the opening of Malachi. The prophet Malachi, one of the last couple of prophets, in chronologically speaking, in the books of prophets. Malachi is not his name, by the way. Malachi is a pseudonym, which means my messenger. And a lot of times, when we talked about this in Torah study this morning, Hebrew names have meanings, and so it sounds like a name, but actually it's not his name. We don't know the guy's name. It's just called he's just called by his pseudonym, my messenger. I guess we don't. I guess we, unless there's something in there that tells us, I'm not really sure. Well, let's see here. Where is it? I'm looking for blessings. There are the blessings, okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzav v'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Masad devar Adonai El Yisrael biyad malachi ahavti etchem amar Adonai v'amartem bama avtahanu halo ach Esav liYaakov neum Adonai v'ohav et Yaakov. There's the link to the Torah portion, right? It's talking about Jacob and Esau. Vet Esav saneh heitivasim et harav shemama vet nachlato. That nachlato
L'tanot midbar, ki tomar edom, rusha hashdu, v'nashuv v'nivneh karavod, ko amar Adonai tzavaot, hema yivnu v'ani eros, v'karu lahem gavul risha, v'am, asher za'am Adonai adolam. V'nechem tirehena, v'atem tomeru yigdal Adonai, Me'al ligvul Yisrael bein yechabed av ve'eved Adonav v'im av ani ayeh chvodi v'im Adonim ani ayeh morai amar Adonai tzvaot lachem hakohanim bozei shemi v'amartem v'amevazinu et shemecha Magishim al mizbechi lechem migoal v'amartem b'meh ge'al nucha v'marchem shulchan Adonai nibzehu v'chi tagishuni ver lizboach ein ra v'chi tagishu piseach v'chole ein ra hakrivehu na lefechatecha hayutzecha o Hayisa fanecha amar Adonai tzvaot v'ata chalunaf ne'el v'chanehenu mi'etchem ha'ayetazod Hayisa mikem panim amar Adonai tzvaot mi gam bachem v'zkor delatayim v'lo ta'iru mizbechi chinam en li chefetz bachem Amar Adonai tzvaot umincha lo ertze mi'etchem ki mimizrach shemesh vad mevo gadol shemi bagoyim uchol makom muktar mugash lishmi umincha tehorah ki gadol shemi bagoyim amar Adonai tzvaot Vatem mechalalim oto v'marchem shulchan Adonai migoal hu v'nivo nivze ochlo v'amartem hine matla'a v'hipachtem oto amar Adonai tzvaot v'havetem gazul v'tapiseach v'hachole v'havetem et amincha Ha'ertze otah mi'etchem amar Adonai. V'arur nochel v'yesh bet roz achar v'noder v'zoveach moshchat l'Adonai ki melech gadol ani amar Adonai tzvaot ushmi norav hagoyim v'ata alechem hamitzvah hazot hakohanim im lo tishma'u v'im lo tasimu alev latet kavod lishmi amar Adonai tzvaot v'shilachti v'achem et ha'me'era va'aroti et birchotechem v'gam arotiha ki einechem samim alev Hineni goer lachem et hazera v'zeriti feresh al penechem peresh chagechem v'nasa erchem elav vidatem ki shilachti alechem et hamitzvah hazod liot briti et levi amar Adonai tzvaot briti hayata ito hachayim v'shalom Va'etnem lo mora va'yira'eni umipnei shemi nichatu Torah temet hayta befihu va'avla lo nimtza visvatav b'shalom uvmishor halach iti v'rabim heshiv me'avon ki siftei kohen yishmeru da'at v'torat yivakshu mipihu ki malach Adonai tzvaot hu. Piece of cake, right? No problem. You can do that for your bar mitzvah, right? No sweat.
You may or may not have just
That's a long Haftorah, yeah, that one's a big chunk of text. Very dramatic text, lovely to sing. And those that, no, that one I prepared. No, yeah, it was the Torah reading that I did a quick prep. The Haftorah, no, I knew that one, yeah. But one reason I want to show that is so that you'll be encouraged to take the Haftorah Trope class and learn, not that fast. You don't have to chant. Speed is not the essence of Haftorah reading. It's the beauty of the melody. So just put that out there. Haftorah Trope class coming up in January. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzor kol haolamim, tzadik b'kol hadorot, ha'el hane'eman ha'omer v'oseh, ha'medaber u'mkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, liktushav limnucha lekavod ultifaret, al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach, u'mevarchim otach, Yitbarach Shimcha b'fi kol chai, tamid le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. We're going to return the Torah to the Ark, and then we'll talk about the Torah portion. And while we're doing that, I ask you to please rise. Page 256 in the prayer book. Yahalelu et Shem Adonai, Yiniskav Shemo Levado, Hodo al Eretz Vishamayim, Vayarem Keren Leamo, Tehila Lechol Chasidav, Livnei Yisrael, Am Kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You may be seated. You may want to hold on to that text, though. You may want to hold on because we want to take a look at the Torah reading. So those of you watching online, I'm going to step out in front so that I can see you, and hopefully we will share in a discussion about this Torah portion. So again, if you're looking in the Plowed commentary, the Torah reading's on page 179.
To me, so, I mean,
You mean what it means?
yeah, and the style of writing. Would you do that? Would you give it to the governor?
Yeah. It's great. It's a great text. But we're going to focus on the Torah reading.
I know.
Hello, everybody. This is great. Oh my gosh. I'm really glad that we're able to do this. So we have a congregation praying together. I'm into two screens here. We have a congregation praying in like two kinds of spaces, a physical space and a kind of, I don't know what to call it, what's the internet?
Zoom space.
Virtual space. All right, so I'm going to ask a question, and those of you who are online, if you want to answer, please just unmute yourself and pop in, because this is for all of us. So the first question I have to ask is, do you think that Isaac was deceived? Beth shaking her head. Oh, it's on? Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, hopefully the sound is better now. So, you say no. Anybody want to comment? Yes? No? What makes you say that?
If he weren't deceived, why would he give the blessing?
So the logic is, you look at the end, and his intent was to give the blessing to Esau, but he gives the blessing to Jacob. It means that Jacob must have fooled him,
Yeah.
tricked him.
Or he must have
Maybe
had
some of
some
the
weird, non-moral decision to make.
That would be immoral if
Yeah.
I see. That's interesting.
He
Let's
could have
follow.
made an immoral decision.
It could be. Let's follow up on that, okay?
I
George?
was just going to say that it was a setup.
What do you mean it's a setup?
Everyone was in on it, and
Everyone except Isaac or including Isaac?
No, I think Isaac caught on. He, I know my child's voice, and your hands are furry, but your voice is the wrong voice for what I'm supposed to be hearing.
Maybe
But-
you're with him.
but I want you to have the birthright anyway, so I'm going along.
Yeah.
Quick
Matt.
sidebar question. What's the significance of the blessing or the birthright? Is there like a legal significance? Is it just a spiritual significance?
Let's
We need to
Let's
pick it up offline on
acknowledge,
us.
let's acknowledge that maybe we don't know. Let's
Okay.
start from that position, that maybe we just don't know. That it meant something then in the author's time, and its exact significance may be lost on us because we live in a different world and we don't have the same family structure or even the same belief system. On the other hand, I want to suggest you could view it materially, that there's some benefit to the blessing. You get to take over the family after I'm gone. That would make sense, right? You become the head of the household.
You've got the power of attorney.
It seems like a big deal, so I just was trying to.
Then there's another possibility that it is not material in nature. That if it were, why wait until he's dying, presumably? By the way, Isaac doesn't die for a really long time. That's the bizarre thing. It's actually, he sticks around for quite a while. But he looks like he's close to death. He seems very ill. He's begging for something. Give me something to eat here. Give me a good meal. And our ancestors may have believed that as you get close to death, you have access to a spiritual realm that the rest of us can't get close to. And those who are close to death have that ability to see into that spiritual realm and in fact draw blessing from it that can be transmitted to the living. And so you don't just get a blessing from anybody, you get the blessing from a person when they are close to death. Now, I think that both of these possibilities could be true at the same time. Both the material and the spiritual considerations could overlap. But the bottom line is we don't know. Liz, go ahead. Liz, I didn't see the chat, so go ahead. What do you...
No, I said, when it's said that Isaac is badly shuddering, that actually still doesn't really tell us, because it could be he could be shaken that he was actually deceived, or that Esau found out that he was deceived. I don't think that my first reading of it was, oh, he was so shocked that he was deceived, but playing devil's advocate, it could be the other way around.
You're reading on, right? You read further in the story, correct?
Right, yes.
Where it says that he shudders at what's happening.
Sorry, jumped ahead.
It's good. We actually need more of the story. You need the backstory, you need where it's going, we kind of need the rest of the story to understand it. So let me offer an observation here. I want to note that Isaac carries on an entire conversation before he bothers to eat. So he is not senile, right? He asks 3 times if Jacob is really Esau. Which son are you? Are you really Esau? He asks, how could he have gotten the game so quickly? He knows something's going on here. He feels his hands. He asks him to come forward so he can smell him. This is a sign of a parent who has good reason to think he is being duped.
But,
Go ahead, Beth.
I mean, Rebecca started the whole thing as far as taking Jacob and getting him set up. And Jacob actually has some misgivings.
It does seem like that if we read the backstory.
Yeah, which I had never thought of before, but it's like, oh yeah. So but he, of course, being Jacob, he's willing to go along with it. And I think, as you just pointed out, that Isaac didn't know at first, but he picked up on it. But all these questions that he's asking make him morally okay. It's like, well, I asked I wasn't sure, so I asked all these questions. So it makes him
Well,
virtuous.
well, let me toss it back into Jonah's comment. Does it excuse him morally?
Also,
Sorry, who's him right now?
Isaac.
Thank you.
Does it excuse Isaac morally?
but then what if, also Isaac could have known and then given him the birthright because, like, was it stated earlier in the text that Isaac favorite was like Esau more than Jacob? Or
Yes.
It did say that, okay.
Yes, and it's not only that has more of an affinity with his son Esau, who's a hunter. And remember, Isaac's a cattleman. He goes out and rounds up the sheep and the cows and stuff. That's his job. He's a cowboy. He's Ben Cartwright. And he's got his sons.
So yes, Jonah doesn't.
A reference that might not get.
I don't know
everybody
that
in the
reference,
room.
sorry.
So does Jacob look sheepish?
Bonanza,
Bonanza, sure.
the TV show Bonanza.
So does Jacob look sheepish?
Did you just sing?
I just said.
Da, da.
You missed
Rabbi.
it. Does Jacob look sheepish?
Oh.
You doubled down on it, Susie, you repeated it.
Okay, let's follow this.
Wait, Rabbi?
Yeah, go ahead.
So-
Liz and then Sharon.
Yeah,
No,
so
Sharon,
if
go ahead, Sharon.
another piece to the betrayal concept or the not betrayal. So being that this generation is so steeped in the belief of God and the eternal and this blessing is so important, wouldn't he have thought that God would have given him some guidance, like if this was the wrong thing, like if it was meant to be, it was meant to be, and God is, everything's put in place for a reason, right? I mean, this is where the belief system of this generation is, right? If God let it be written, let it be done kind of thing.
You've put your finger on something. Isaac may have a different relationship with God than Abraham and Jacob do. I'd have to go back and see. How many times has God talked to Isaac?
Not many, but this blessing is so important that and their statements of see my son's secret is like the scent of the field, blessed by the eternal. I mean, everything is about it throughout the reading. It brings the eternal into it. So clearly there's an importance in that. And does that help him justify giving like another sort of, well, smells like it, looks like it, feels like it, no message from above, I'm going with it.
Interesting. So let me ask the question. If Isaac knows he's being deceived, then why would he go along with it?
Because there was no other messaging to say otherwise.
That doesn't explain why he agrees to be deceived.
Maybe he agrees with Rebecca.
Go ahead.
Well, and maybe he thinks that he'll be the better recipient of the blessing.
Even if he likes Esau better.
If that were the case, why didn't Isaac a priori say, Jacob, come on in. You make a really good soup.
Can't do that.
I'll give you the blessing.
Can't do that. That's tradition. Tradition.
Yeah.
Oh, because, well, we already know that Jacob's got the birthright, but I'd say Esau's the firstborn, right? And you're saying you just can't bypass the firstborn.
He wants to break with tradition.
Yeah.
Is it possible that Isaac himself did not want to face up to telling Esau that Jacob was the one more deserving of his blessing? Is the story, hold on, is the story not just about Jacob's inability to be honest with himself, but also about Isaac's? If he couldn't face up to saying that to his son Esau. Go ahead, Jan.
It's a very fraught kind of thing for multiple reasons. I mean, I really do think that Isaac realizes the deception, and he does that legalistic thing of getting Jacob to say 3 times, yes, I'm Esau, which therefore absolves him.
Oh, so right.
But I also think that Esau has a choice in all of this, right? Esau is made a great nation, that's the quote, right? He becomes the nation of Edom. And if Esau wanted to, he could have taken the same God with him. Like, why are there two gods? Or why are they worshiping differently? I mean, the text goes out of its way to show that all of these neighboring peoples are related.
Yeah.
But so even though Esau didn't have the birthright and didn't get to stay in wherever it was in Canaan that was given to Isaac, even though Abraham had traveled all over the region, and Jacob is the one who eventually will come back and settle in the land, and Edom is further south,
Yes.
southeast.
Yes.
Right? Esau also is the father of a great nation. Why doesn't he worship the one God? Right? What is it that, so he's got a part in this too.
In other words, he's in part responsible for the blessing going to his brother because he just didn't have it in him to maintain faith in God. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Joy?
Isn't this also the scene with the lentil soup? I mean, isn't
That was right before this.
Oh, okay.
That's the story immediately before this. So the stories are remarkably similar in
Yeah.
the sense that Jacob is always taking something that belongs to Isaac, to Esau. Jacob's always taking something that actually belongs to his brother. If what we're talking about is correct, why does the Torah present us with heroes who are morally faulty?
Because we're morally faulty. That's one of the cool things about Judaism. Jesus is supposed to be perfect, so all the Christians, I'm sorry, I was there when I was a little kid. Every little thing you do wrong, am I going to go to hell? I'm terrible, all this kind of, which kids are going to make mistakes all the time. Judaism recognizes that people are faulty, and we are doing our best to be our best, but it's okay if we are not perfect.
Is it okay?
Unless you're Aaron's sons.
Yeah, which is they die.
okay.
But no, I'm serious about this question. Focusing on Isaac and his behavior and Jacob and his behavior, is it okay?
We don't have morally perfect heroes in our Torah. That is not Judaism.
So maybe the reality is that we're not supposed to read them as heroes.
Cautionary tales.
In part, maybe they're cautionary tales. I would observe the following. The tone of the story. What's the tone of the story? It's pathos, not triumph. As we read through the story, basically, we're gripped with sadness the whole way through because it's reading the story of a broken family. And the brokenness in the family gets transmitted from one generation to the next. Because what happens to Jacob? What happens to Jacob and his sons? They trick him. They deceive him. And then,
Don't forget, Isaac is the one whose father tried to sacrifice him.
right. There's something messed up. And Jacob, for his part,
I'd say.
I forgot about season 1.
Thank you, season 1. And speaking of Isaac being almost sacrificed, what's the interaction? Who intervenes to make sure that he's not sacrificed? Who intervenes first?
The angel.
The angel. The angel comes in. Bingo. And then what does Jacob have to do? Is Jacob is on his way back home from Laban's house. Who does he encounter? An angel. And he wrestles with the angel as if it's not done yet. This family dynamic, this family system, keeps churning from one generation to the next. And Jacob's going to come out alive but wounded. He is wounded from his encounter with the angel. And it's as though that wound is the wound that he got from all this deception. It's as though it finally takes its place in his body itself. And that's where he feels what had been part of him all along emotionally, that he had engaged in this deception of his own father. Not to mention the role of Rebekah in this. That it's not an individual, it's a family system. It's a, yeah, Janet?
If this was the movie playing in the year 2021, Rebecca would have prepared the disguise in advance, right? This would have been premeditated. Oh, he's getting old, he's getting blind, we can trick him this way. But she doesn't. It's I just heard him say, he just sent him out to go get some venison, and so we're gonna do this. And it's almost as if it's a reaction, like she's not expecting this.
Or it's taking advantage of the opportunity. That yes, this was her intent, but finally the opportunity presented itself so that she could manage to see the blessing transmitted to the one who she knew was better able to handle it, better able to take on the responsibility. Because we do have an insight into Esau's character in the previous story, the story about the lentil soup and all, right? We already do have a little insight into what kind of guy Esau is. Okay. It's a fascinating story, and thank you all for participating, for being part of the discussion. I'm going to move on to the conclusion of the service, unless, Max, do you want to share any announcements for us? Anything you want to tell us?
I have some.
Please do.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Should I just do it from here?
No, come up here, that way everybody will be able to see.
Real quick follow-up though, aren't angels kind of just emissaries of God? Or
Yes,
are they,
they are.
So I feel like when you encounter an angel, you're essentially working with one of God's people.
Exactly.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, so Sunday the 14th is new member brunch. I don't know that there are any new members with us now, but if you know any, let them know. It's supposed to be new members who have joined this year or going back to last year because COVID prevented us from having the new member brunch then. So have them reach out to membership if they'd like to show up on Sunday morning the 14th. It is at Congregational Home. Please note none of the brunch food is from last year. Just members from last year are welcome to join. If you have or know any children in 3rd to 6th grades, the children's choir is kicking off with the first rehearsal Wednesday, November 17th. Rabbi Milder will lead the choir. It's every Wednesday except for the Thanksgiving holiday, and the choir will sing at family service on Friday, December 17th. So please do sign up if you know any children who might be interested. And finally, do you know your Jewish name? Maybe you never received one, maybe you did, but no one told you. Did you give your children Jewish names? Or if you did you forget to write it down and you don't remember it anymore? These things happen. This is a judgment-free announcement. But it's not too late to adopt a Jewish name. On Erev Christmas, we will host a ceremony for Jewish congregants who wish to adopt a Hebrew name. It is Shabbat Shemot, the Sabbath of names. Please contact Rabbi Milder to discuss your or your child's Jewish name. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Did you know that there's a Yiddish term for that evening? It's Niddelsnacht. That's Niddelsnacht, yeah. I think it has to do with needles. Yeah, no, they don't know that one. Okay. And Martin, that doesn't ring a bell to you either? You haven't heard that? Okay. No, I learned this, I learned this in rabbinical school, so I really can't tell you. It starts in November, so the children's choir starts on November 17th and will sing on December 17th. Adult choir starts in December and will sing in January. And Andy Plummer is going to lead us in Aleinu on page 282. Please rise. And tell you what, Andy, if you come up here and kind of stand sideways, we'll be able to hear you better, like that. Yeah.
What page?
282. Oh, yeah, you can take your mask off.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, la'tekedu la'liotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu k'li'ei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamona, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומשה ויקרו בשמיים עמו ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו כל כתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים עמו ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Page 295. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, ba'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabbah mivarach le'alam ulalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudishah brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Please be seated. And before our closing song, I would like to offer this prayer for avoiding confusion from daylight savings time changes. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shetishmarenu mi bilbul itim umimachaluf zmanim. May it be your will, Adonai our God, God of our fathers and mothers, that you guard us from the confusion of seasons and the changing of times. That really does appear in a 19th century compendium with regard to people traveling, particularly with the advent of trains and moving from one time zone to another. Page 327. Let's close out with this great Ein Eloheinu that I picked up, relearned for last week's Sephardic Judaism lesson with religious school and taught and introduced at services a couple of weeks ago. Page 327, so this has got lyrics in Hebrew and in Ladino, and we're going to do it. We're going to do the first 4 verses. Let's see here. That's not the right key. Eit Keloheinu, Eit Kadonenu, Ein kemalkeinu, ein kumoshienu, non como nuestro Dios, non como nuestro Señor, non como nuestro Rey, non como nuestro Salvador. Mich Eloheinu, mich Adonenu, mich Emalkeinu, mich Moshienu, quem como nuestro Dios, quem como nuestro Señor, quem como nuestro Rey, quem como nuestro Salvador. No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Emalkeinu, no del Moshienu, loremos a nuestro Dios, loremos a nuestro Señor, loremos a nuestro Rey, loremos a nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, bendito nuestro Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks everybody who was online.